Welcome back to the channel. Once again, Mr. Bushido has blessed us with another script for the community theories format I recently started. While I'm still too damn slow working on my own scripts, he keeps firing them out like a machine gun, and since the last one was received really well, I figured why not give people what they want. For those who don't know, Community Theories is the series where you, my viewers, can share your wild One Piece ideas with me, and I'll turn them into full videos. A lot of you have already dropped some cool and intriguing theories in my Discord. Some of them don't quite have enough meat for a full episode, but don't worry. I'm planning to make a special video soon where I'll showcase several of those smaller but still awesome ideas. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it when that one drops. But for now, let's dive back into Mr. Bushido's latest theory. This time about our red dog Sakazuki, who just might be biting the hand that feeds him. The Holy Land is currently under attack in a sea of flames and Imu-sama is in panic. And the question in everyone's mind is, who is attacking the Holy Land? Well, the common theories are Dragon or Blackbeard, but those lack imagination. And I do not believe that is the case because, for Dragon, I feel it is simply far too soon. The refs just attacked the Holy Land and left, so I don't see them returning to the same location for a follow-up attack so soon after. Blackbeard is another guess. But I don't think that's the case. Blackbeard tends to not openly attack his enemies and instead waits until they are already unprepared and weakened. Plus, we know he told Kobe he wants to make a deal to join the world government and make Beehive an official kingdom, but that seems unlikely if he attacks their home. So who could the attacker be? Well, it's funny, Imu says the city is in a sea of flames and that might be elite, and dare I say, a pretty hot one at that. Because the person leading the attack might be no other than Akainu. Now hold up, before you start switching off, allow me to explain. As I believe I do have an argument and you just need to give me a few short moments of your life. Yes, give Bushido some moments of your life, but be careful, if you give him too much, he will start talking about white rabbits. Anyway, back to Bushido. Let me explain to you why Akainu is rebutting what comes next for the Marines and the world government and who will replace the Marines. Yep, you heard me right. The Marines will be replaced. But more about this later. For now, let's sum up Akainu's character arc in the post-time skip period. What is the main thing that sticks out? I would say it's frustration. Akainu is a person who likes to get things done. He doesn't take half measures. And he wants to leave a strong impression. So he finds his job to be the one he wanted, because he believed he could truly shape the Marines into a fighting force to his standards and make a difference. Only to be restricted to a desk behind a red tape. And as you know, there are endless jokes about Akainu and Dragon being stuck behind desks and not getting involved personally. Sakazuki finds the whole process incredibly frustrating, and we even see a scene of him getting annoyed, yelling into his transponder snail surrounded by paperwork. Sengoku pokes his head in and smirks while Akainu tells him to get lost. This is clear. Sengoku is laughing at Akainu, probably due to some pent-up relief from years from Akainu telling Sengoku he needs to be doing more in the fight against pirates, while Sengoku refused. This is Sengoku saying, lol, see, turns out this job isn't so fun and easy as you thought it was. Every time we see Akainu, he's more or less always fed up being stuck behind a desk or annoyed when information that makes the Marines look weak is leaked. Remember when Blackbeard attacked Law? We see the Marines responding to the news and Akainu states his frustration, being unable to do anything and waiting for these pirates to fight one and another off. Nobody told me being Fleet Admiral would be so frustrating. And Oda made sure to let us see stuff like this again and again. It goes on. Our hot-headed Fleet Admiral didn't like the idea of Vegapunk teaming up with Luffy, thus likely didn't like the idea of the world government killing Vegapunk. It's also clear the world government did not consult Akainu beforehand. And speaking of the world government, it's plain as day they don't care about the Marines at all. They literally told Akainu that they do not care, as you can see here. For them, Akainu and the Marines are simply convenient tools and nothing more. It's all just a big show to give the mob down on the filthy sea the impression that someone cares about their problems. But you know the saying, you can only kick a dog so many times before it bites back. And this red dog right now is biting quite a lot. But for now, let's switch perspective and look at Kizaru. Our friendly yellow monkey never seemed to be bothered by the questionable acts of the world government. He just did as asked. Well, at least it seemed so to us readers until Egg had happened. where he was sent to kill his own friends. All throughout the arc, it was obvious Kizaru wasn't fighting all out, and it was even implied he gave Luffy food to restore his strength. I mean, who else could have done this, right? At the end of it, it was Akainu who was yelling at Kizaru for letting the Straws escape and the message to leak, making Kizaru for the first time ever get angry and yell at Akainu, which made Akainu for the first time ever apologize. I still remember when I read this part. I was baffled. I never thought this guy could say sorry. But these two men, I believe, are frustrated big time by the situation, and probably because they are not able to follow the justice they signed up for. It was also shown during the Egghead arc that Sakazuki was sent up to Mary Geoise to stop Kuma, which he failed to do, and immediately the Celestial Dragons began berating Akainu about failing, and then proceeded to complain about not getting lobster in a week. Man, F those Celestial Dragon morons. But that's not all. We have also seen Akainu lamenting Kuma's action and how he gave up his humanity for his daughter's sake and ultimately become nothing but a puppet. But that's the thing. He might have realized that, in a sense, he also has become a puppet. A puppet that is stuck following the whims of spoiled children and old men who sit their asses flat in chairs high up in the clouds, giving orders, and who don't care if he lives or dies. This also puts some perspective onto the people Akainu likely always despised. Kusan, a fellow admiral who left the system to follow his own path. Dragon, a former marine who saw the evilness of the Celestial Dragons and started to fight back. And then Garb, another fellow marine who refused promotion after promotion, probably to the dismissal of Akainu, who saw this as foolish. But now that he's at the whims of the Celestial Dragons, he understands why Garb always refused and was happy being a vice admiral. But there's also Fujitora. Akainu and Fujitora have butted heads before. While they argue deep down, they both agree that the current system isn't good. Now, Fujitora, I believe, has a hatred for the Celestial Dragons. He blinded himself at a young age, saying he witnessed the worst in humanity, and given the recent chapters of God Valley, I think he may have been a survivor of a Celestial Dragon hunt, where he saw the same cruelty that dragons saw and blinded himself as a result. But I believe he eventually joined the Marines not because he believes in the system, but because he decided to be the change the Marines needed. He has only been a Marine for 2 years, being drafted in as an Admiral. In that time, what has he done? He took responsibility for Dressrosa and not allowing Dofi to get away with so much, and this was so the Marines couldn't cover up their involvement like they did with Crocodile. He also got the Warlord system abandoned alongside King Cobra and King Riku. In short, he has brought some good to the Marines. Now there's something I noticed. In Dressrosa he brought an asteroid down on the city, but told Sabo afterwards that beforehand he used his observation haki to ensure no casualties were in the blast area. But in the Reverie, he did the same thing and nearly destroyed the city with the Celestial Dragons inside if not for Green Bull. You gotta love Fujitora for that. And it was even stated he helped free the slaves and ended up fighting Green Bull. How do you think all of this weighs on Sakazuki's mind, huh? All in all, I believe Akainu is fed up following these brats and is going to split the Marines away from the world government under a new faction led by him. And I believe this will be like the Neo Marines in film Z. Him attacking the Holy Land is his declaration of war and rebellion. He won't join Dragon because still, in the end, Akainu pushes a Justin Dragon doesn't agree with, and vice versa. Akainu will kill civilians if needed to achieve his justice, while Dragon would never do something like that. I could also argue Cross-Guild putting bounties on Marines was, in a way, foreshadowing the Marines becoming criminals to the world government. Well, yes Bushido, you could and you should. I think that's a great point. This will just further Buggy's fame and influence in the world, as he will be seen as a hero. But back to Bushido. The role of the Neo Marines will be to take a more aggressive approach towards pirates and the world government, where they will target Yonkos. Now, with that out of the way, what will happen to the world government? I believe they will put more focus on the Cypherpole agents and God Knights. Green Bull is a devoted fan of Akainu, so I could see him joining this Neo Marine group. But he's also a devoted follower of the Celestial Dragons, so he might be in a pickle choosing which side he wants to be on. Personally, I think he will stay with the world government and be transferred to CP0, or maybe even become a God Knight as a reward for his loyalty and strength. I mean, we already got a planned dude with thorns and stuff in the God Knights team, so why not another planned dude alongside him, right? Now, as for the world government, I do believe the Marines will be replaced. And who will replace them? That might just be Germa 66. Now, why the Germa, I hear you ask? Well, you see, one thing was made clear. The Celestial Dragons are facing a food shortage. The gondolas keep exploding and ships bringing food to the Holy Land keep getting attacked. But there is one way to get past this, and that is the snails of the Germa Kingdom. They can climb the red line with ease. Just look at them go. Now, Judge and Caesar are always looking to make deals to reach higher status, and this is their opportunity to go to the world government and provide support in exchange for status and power. But you see, and here's another twist, I believe the wind smokes have some connection to the Celestial Dragons. One thing that always felt weird to me was how there is a comic series about the Germa, where they are depicted as the enemies of the world government. But what's really weird is how, when Sanji put on his weight suit for the first time, Law immediately knew what it was, and he had read the comics, and that I find curious. What does this imply? Did Judge base this suit after the comics? Why would he do that? And what's also curious is that Sanji's mother, Sora, has the same name as the hero from the comics. And Sora, by the way, means sky, and Celestial also means sky. Oda, we see you. Now, I believe Sanji's ancestors were knights, and something happened where they either rebelled and were shot down in disgrace, or they failed Imu and were banished from the Holy Land, which is why they are now on the Blue Sea. What I believe happened was that there used to be a member of the Shepherd family called Briz, who was sent down to West Blue, where he founded his own kingdom called the Briz Kingdom, named after himself. Classic Celestial Dragon thing to do after all. But remember back in Jaya when the crew encountered a ship that fell from the sky with the name Saint Briz written on it? What stands out is that so far Saint is a title only awarded to the Celestial Dragons, and if you notice, the sigil on the ship looks oddly similar to the mark on Sommer's arm. Another trait the Shepherds have in common with Sanji is that they are connected to food in some way. Jupiter is the god of agriculture, and Sommers, upon introduction, showed he was concerned about getting the Celestial Dragon's food. Killing him also used him to conjure up salt, which I think was a reference to the Water 7 filler episode where Sanji found salt from the All Blue. It would be poetic irony if Judge, who always dismissed Sanji's cooking, ends up gaining favor by giving the Celestial Dragons food, since they are basically starving right now, while his ancestors all had some connection to food. But what can Neomads provide the world government, I hear you ask? Well, for starters, they can provide food soldiers. The Germa have a technology to clone people, and they bred a line of super soldiers. What's great about them is that they follow orders to the T. They will even sacrifice their lives without a thought if ordered, because that is how they were programmed. Now, reading all this, Bushido, they would be pretty fitting for Akainu as well. But yeah, let's go on. Those soldiers would be a step up for the world government from the average marine soldier. I believe Judge and Caesar will be given Celestial Dragon status and will be placed under the command of Saint Garling, who is the new god of science, replacing Saturn. Remember, Yoke betrayed Vegapunk to gain Celestial Dragon status, and I do see her being placed in Neomads alongside Judge and Caesar. What's more, Green Bull captured Queen and King in Wano. I can also see Queen being put in Impel Down and then being given a full pardon if he joins Neomads. Their first few tasks will be to reprogram the pacifistas. With Vegapunk building a backdoor access where Bonnie can control them, this is a fatal flaw that would need to be worked on. Then, find a way to speed up the aging process for the clones. It was revealed that Judge's clones take 5 years to mature, but we don't have 5 years. So perhaps, your Queen and Caesar can provide assistance and speed the process up. That way they can provide the Seraphim, who are the replacement to the Warlords. But the issue with them is that they are still kids. So imagine their power if they were made into adults. And finally, third, Lunarian blood. It could also be the case that they will mass produce even stronger soldiers and more Seraphim based off all the warlords like Buggy, Law and Weevil, because now, with King in custody, they have more samples of Lunarian lineage factor. And we will see them hooking him up, likely by Queen, as he takes a sick pleasure in doing this. So the world government will lose the Marines but gain something much better. The Windsmoke children might also become knights. And here's the cherry on top. Oda revealed Judge was originally written to be a celestial dragon named Saint Germain. So this would be coming full circle. So that's that. What do you guys say to this theory from Mr. Bushido? Let me know in the comments. Well, he got me convinced, not gonna lie. But to be honest, I sure as hell hope that if the Windsmoke siblings become God Knights, Rachel will just leave and not be part of it. But that's just me. Also, if you haven't yet, please like the video, as it helps my channel grow and therefore reach more people. Which would be amazing, especially for videos like this one, which usually only end up in Reddit threads or Discord channels. No front, Mr. Bushido. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and see you next time.